What's going on, guys? You're going with Hardy Tech, and welcome to Pokeblock. Wrong show. I was just doing that. Let's try it again. What's going on, guys? You're with Hardy Tech, and welcome to Hardy Versus, the show where I talk to you guys about random stuff in the Pokemon world, completely unscripted off the top of my head. Today, we're going to be talking to you guys about Fairy-type Pokemon, and I got the idea to do this after the most recent batch of Pokemon revealed for Pokemon Sun and Moon, which included I have a list of Fairy-type Pokemon up here, by the way, just so I think it included 2 new Fairy-type Pokemon, and I tweeted about this after I saw that trailer. Something that really bugs me with Fairy-type. I love the fact that we got a new type 6 generations in to keep things fresh. I thought that was really cool. It redid like a bunch of older Pokemon to give them like a new sense of, hey, you should use these guys again. Like Snubbull and Granbull and Clefairy and Jigglypuff, Mr. Mime. I don't know why he's a fairy type, but okay. Even the Marowline, like there's a lot of new Pokemon that gained the fairy type that seemed cool again. And I hope we continue to get new types, because it's really fun to change things up occasionally, because we haven't had any new types since Generation 2 when we had Dark and Steel type introduced. And why was Steel type introduced? They may have just done Steel just for the heck of it, but I know Dark was introduced as a big part to counter Psychic type because that was so overpowered. And Fairy type, in a way, was introduced to counter Dragon types who only had the 2 weaknesses. But my big problem with Fairy types is, I think it's the name. And I have nothing against Fairy type Pokemon. I know when Fairy was first introduced, people were like, what is this? What is this fairy crap? I want dragons. I had no problem with it. I was like, alright, cool. My problem with fairy type Pokemon is so many of them are delicate little things. There's very, very few fairy type Pokemon that look menacing. And is it because fairy is a very like non-menacing term? Like you think like little pixie and stuff? I don't know, but the only really menacing fairy-type Pokemon we have is Granbull. And I guess Mawile. I forgot Mawile was a fairy-type. It's Granbull and Mawile, but those were already Pokemon before fairy-type was introduced, so I don't really want to count them. I only want to count the Pokemon that were introduced as fairy-types, which would be Dedenne, Carbink, Klefki, Swirlix, Spritzy, Flabébé, all those Pokemon, they're freaking so itty-bitty, like cotton candy. Flowers. What am I missing here? A tiny little mouse. A rock. There's no really, like, big, scary fairy-type Pokemon. You know, there are always these itty-bitty little tiny things. And yeah, we have, I guess, Diancie. Xerneas. Is a rainbow deer really that scary? I don't know, but the thing that really set me off was when we got the introduction of all these new fairy types, like Cutiefly, Mimikyu. I love Mimikyu, alright? He's already like almost one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Mimikyu's the best thing ever. But I'll have more thoughts on that at a later point. I really love Mimikyu, but Cutiefly, Comfey is another one. I like these Pokemon, but Comfey and... Wait, is Comfey... Oh no, it is named Comfey. Never mind. Okay, I was wrong. It's like the lay thing. Get laid. They're freaking little tiny bugs. Don't we have like 2 flying... We have 2 flower fairy type Pokemon now. 4 if you count Flabebe's evolutions. And I wish they would take the concept of fairy and make it like badass. Like and I know this is gonna sound probably sexist and people are gonna take it the wrong way, but there's not many fairy type Pokemon that appeal towards boys. And I get it, a lot of Pokemon appeal towards boys, but you know, I want like a badass, I want like Granbull, but new, because I think Granbull is an awesome Pokemon. I love Granbull. I like his design. I like the fact that he's a fairy type. He's like a badass fairy type. And we don't really have that from Generation 6 or Generation 7 so far. Actually, I just realized Tapu Koko, that new legendary Pokemon, that's a fairy type. Oh, I thought it was just electric. Okay. I love that design. That's really cool. we should get more of that kind of Pokemon. These itty bitty little fairy type Pokemon that can't really do anything. We have enough of those already, and it's only been a generation and a half. We need more Pokemon like Tapu Koko, who are really good fairy types. And yes, there are some really good fairy types, but like I said, they're from past generations, like Mawile, like Gardevoir, like Azumarill, Togekiss. We've already had those Pokemon. I want new fairy type Pokemon that are really cool. That's my rant on fairy types, is they make them so itty bitty and pathetic that it's almost hard to take the fairy type seriously sometimes. And it's weird because it's one of the strongest types in the game now. It counters fighting, it counters dark, it counters... My hands are way down here, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm counting them off with a counter dragon. It finally gives poison something to do. And it gives steel another offensive type, which steel is like pretty much purely defensive. So fairy was a huge thing to add to X and Y, and then Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and then the Sun and Moon. But I just wish there was more fairy type Pokemon I could take seriously. But that is my thoughts on the fairy typing. I'm curious what you guys think. What do you think of the batch of fairy type Pokemon we have? The new ones introduced. What do you think? Do we have enough flowered Pokemon? Do we? There was even a freaking flower Pokemon. It's just, they introduced Cherubi 2. That's a grass type. Okay, I gotta save that for later. I'm gonna be doing a podcast later this week with my thoughts on all the new Pokemon introduced, so watch that. But actually, it might be up already because I think this is going up. I don't know. Schedules, whatever. Until then, I'm Hardy Tech Yo. Thank you guys for watching.